Well, class, we're on week 7. This is a positive thing, I'm sure, for all of you. You are almost done. You have almost made it. One more week to go. Just a couple updates. Okay, so week 7. Next week is week 8. Week 8, there will be no live lecture and no Blackboard. I will give everyone full credit for Blackboard. So please don't bother yourself with trying to do Blackboard for week 8 because it will be a waste of your time. Also, there's a few extra credit opportunities that are posted on the announcement page of Blackboard. You'll get 10 points for taking the course evaluation. If you missed a Blackboard opportunity, you can replace that grade by writing a one-page summary, emailing it to me, and of what the topic was that week. So answer the questions, write a one-page summary, send it to me, and that would replace 25 points of a missed Blackboard discussion. And or you could, if you can, turn in the capstone early. Capstones are due week 8, day 5, but if you could get it in week 8, day 2, which I know might be very difficult for you guys because it's a group assignment and whatnot, I will give 10 extra points. So that is something you could do. You don't have to do any of it, but those are your options for extra credit at this time. So I'm going to be going over some of the final parts of group, things that are happening more in a working stage, further along in the process of group. I've been reading your responses to the groups that you guys got to attend, and it sounds like it was very interesting and a very worthwhile experience for a lot of you, those that I've read this thus far. I really enjoyed watching your demonstrations that you guys did with your group members. I can tell from various ones I've observed that your group members really took it seriously, and some of them got emotional on the topics that you guys talked about. So hopefully you got a good feel of what group is like. Group is not easy by any means. It can be quite complicated controlling a group, which sometimes family members make it more difficult than they have to. But anyhow, I really did enjoy that. I know that wasn't an easy assignment for a lot of you, finding the people and then being able to record, but I really do appreciate you following through and doing that. So great job. Really, really impressed. So I am going to get done with all your grading this week. I know you guys are working on a midterm to be turned in. So keep up the hard work. And like I said, we're almost to the finish line here. Okay, so transition stage. These are some of the characteristics: anxiety and defensiveness. This is when you might get some testing of leadership, conflict, things of that nature that could be coming up. You might be seeing too, like, group dynamics. So if the group is very trusting, not trusting, what are some problems in the group? Who are people that are problematic? What I can see from just you guys even observing group, you could see already some dynamics that were going on in the group. You could see people who were difficult, people who are easy to deal with, people who don't want to open up. You could see those things just from your one time going. So just imagine as a leader, as you're going through group with people weekly, you really start to know and understand people's tendencies. People start to get nervous with being vulnerable, right? They don't want to get emotional, don't want to give too much personal information. They don't want to monopolize the group, they don't want to be that person. I know probably some of you felt this in groups that have nothing to do with mental health, just even in a Bible study group or some sort of other school group or any sort of club you're part of. You don't want to be the one monopolizing everybody's time. The concern of being judged for that. And then again, you want to be vulnerable, but then there's that fear of vulnerability, and so hopefully like having other people share will help with that, but sometimes that's still very nerve-wracking for people. Again, confrontation is something that might have to be done. Not anyone's usually fun thing to do is to confront others, especially in a group setting. Sometimes that confrontation will happen in front of the group. Excuse me. Other times that may happen outside of the group. You as the group leader will have to make that determination. Um, Dealing with difficult behavior in group. Because it will happen, I guarantee it. If you run a lot of groups, you will encounter difficult people. Just imagine the kinds of groups you could be running. Um, Sarcasm. Sarcasm, I know that's a way a lot of us communicate, but it's a huge way to communicate partial truth. You have to be careful with sarcasm, especially as a leader, especially as a therapist. So really trying to be mindful of that. It's not personal. It's like parenting, right? Like when our kids say mean things to us, it's like I'm the grown up. I can't act like them. Same kind of concept. You can't stoop down to their level, or if someone's being mean to you, address it appropriately, but not taking it overly personal. Being sensitive to things in other people's cultures. Um, Again, these are different things that you're watching out for. It's hostility, someone acting better than, um, giving advice, questioning, dependency, silence, someone who monopolizes a group. I know I've been in groups personally that are not even psychological groups, but they're the Bible study groups. Then you have the one person that monopolizes everything in here. And then it's like this irrational fear gets in your head, like, I don't want to be that person, so I don't even know if I should talk or not. It's just so hard, trying to deal with that. Um, Trying not to overgeneralize people being resistant, okay? Sometimes there's a reason for our reluctance. Even in individual counseling, silence. You sometimes need the silence. We need the silence in order to allow a person to process. Not everyone processes the same. So the silence is sometimes needed. When people are kind of rallying up against you, don't get discouraged. Keep fighting through. This is a great time to seek counsel from a supervisor, other people maybe who've been in those shoes before, but to not allow the group to break you down. I know it sounds like the rise against the machine here, but depending on the kind of group and the kind of situation, those kinds of things can happen. You don't want those kinds of things to happen. Co-leading, okay, great. It's nice to not be alone. However, if there's some sort of dissension between you and the other leader, that could be majorly problematic. So those are the kinds of things that have to be addressed. Playing favorites, or, challenging each other in front of the group. It's like parenting. You want to be on the same page. Even if you don't agree with something, talk about it later, not in front of the group. Working through countertransference. You might individually have to work through something of that nature as a group leader, but then you might also have to deal with that with a co-leader. And so making sure that you're open to those things and working through them and being honest with one another about those things. Okay, so now we're looking at chapter 8. I'm kind of moving right along, and we're talking about the working stages of group. So the working stage is we're in it, right? We're in it to win it. We're in the middle of group. Hopefully work has been going on the whole time, but now we're in the throes of it. Now every group will be a little bit different in the sense that some groups, the working stage might be more in the middle, because it's a shorter group. It's not an ongoing group. Maybe it's a group that's only 8 weeks or something. Again, we're starting work at the beginning, but as we get into the throes of the group, there's different things that are going to start happening. It's going to be a rhythm. Now, if it's a group that meets all the time on a consistent basis, it's going to look a little bit different, right? So a productive group is looking at the here and now. The goals are clear. There's cohesion. Conflict is recognized and explored, and members are willing to make themselves known. And there's trust and a sense of safety. So these are things we're striving for. So a non-working group, there's mistrust. People are looking more at themselves. they're not sharing, and conflict is definitely there. So those are things we want to avoid. So the working stage, choices to be made during the working stage. Authenticity, spontaneity, acceptance, and unity versus fragmentation. We're working at, like, we as a group are working together. We are on the same page. We're striving for same goals, although those could look different for each person. We're working in the same direction for the same outcome, right? The value of homework in groups is that it's not an end, right? Group is a place to learn new behaviors and acquire a range of skills in living. Homework is a way of maximizing what's learned, and this is the same in individual therapy. We don't give homework because we're mean people or we really like school. We give homework because hopefully your homework has a purpose and a point and helps them to learn things. Like, for example, I gave a minor homework this week, and I said, no, seriously, like, I really need you to try to do this stuff. Like, I'm not even kidding around. Like, I need you to try. I know it's hard for people, especially when they have a lot going on, a lot they're juggling. Some people are struggling with depression, anxiety, things of that nature, and that makes it harder for them to get stuff done. But it doesn't have to be super time consuming, right? We as group leaders have to know the time commitment. Now, if it's in an inpatient setting, maybe that's part of their program, is they have certain material that they have to go through, and so it's just natural. They have time set aside. They have a lot of time on their hands maybe. In other settings, it might not be as easy. So just be aware of what you're asking of people and if you yourself would do it or not, right? So these are some therapeutic factors in group: self-disclosure, confrontation, feedback, cohesion and unity, hope, willingness to risk and trust, humor. I think there's a lot of laughter in group. Even in a lot of the groups that I saw you guys lead, there was a lot of laughter, and genuine laughter, not just fake laughter, very genuine. A sense of healing that can occur, right? Being willing to change, learning something new, freedom to try new things. But that hope, instilling hope in people, is so phenomenal and so great. Again, disclosure. Now, we see this all the time in a lot of other groups. It's like, wow, that came out of left field. Sometimes it even happens in class, right? When we're all together and someone starts talking about something that's really personal, and it's like, okay, this was not the correct time or place to be sharing that, but that's already been done. So now we have to deal with it. Same kind of thing. In a group setting, you want people to only share what's appropriate to what is the purpose of the group, right? I don't need to know about so-and-so's mother's cousin, okay? It has to do with you, and it has to do with the purpose of the group. It's a way of getting thoughts and feelings out. It's a way to create vulnerability. It's a way to have a safe group, because if one person does it, somebody else may do it. It's kind of like what I shared with that assignment I gave of telling your deepest, darkest secret, and everyone taking it seriously. It made everyone feel more safe. If someone didn't take it seriously, then they would have felt less safe in that moment, right? And feeling safe in a group is huge. Feedback. You're wanting to be honest and sensitive. You want it to be straightforward and useful. And you're letting people know how their behavior affects you. And when it's saying avoid global feedback, that means like you all or some people, right? I'll have families come in and they'll talk about some people. I'm like, your mom? Like, what some people are we talking about? Some people in this house. And I'll be like, your parents? Like, who are these some people? Even my little kid says that sometimes. He's like, someone. And I'm like, you're referring to me. Let's not talk that way. Let's just be direct and straightforward here. Okay. And this is great because you're teaching people how to have good, that's part of good conflict resolution, right? Is being direct. Let's squash this now. Let's take care of it now, versus being vague and all those kinds of things, right? Let's nip it in the bud. Catharsis is the expression of pent-up emotion. So it can be healing and lead to increased cohesion. It is not appropriate for all types of groups. So again, healing is so huge in group. It can be so healing in group. It's useful to integrate cognitive and behavioral work. Insights are common, and it is crucial to put insights into action. So how do I take what I've learned and now do it, right? And sometimes we have to break that down one step at a time, however that works. But okay, I've learned all these new things. I feel all these new things. Now what? That's what group is. Let's figure out what's next, right? So what the leader is to be doing. Continue balance and support and confrontation. Supporting members and interpreting things to help members engage in deeper self-exploration, asking the really good questions, the deeper questions, maybe noticing behavior changes. Encouraging, that's huge too in group, to get that encouragement, that positive feedback. Focus on the importance of translating insight into action. Promotes behaviors that will increase the level of cohesion, what's going on in the group. Members bring into group sessions issues they are willing to discuss. Offer and remain open to feedback, even if that can create anxiety. Everyone sometimes can be nervous about feedback, right? And then we want them to practice their new skills, what they've learned, and to keep doing that, right? That's the hope and the goal. Group, like I've said many times, is very helpful for people. And if they're in the right place, it can really radicalize and change things for them. I hope that you could just see from your glimpses of group that you got from doing your week 5 assignment that kind of gives you a small taste of what group can be. And maybe that glimpse even showed you, you know what, I really think this wasn't good and this is what I don't want to be. But even that can be useful to know what not to do. It is hard to control a group of people. It's hard to be sometimes in individual therapy or family therapy, let alone with 8 individuals who are very different, who are coming from different backgrounds, have different experiences. Maybe there's some underlining similar components, but that's it. That's hard. It may seem easy, but it can be hard. So don't stress yourself out or feel guilty if you feel anxious about that. That's normal. You know, you guys are gonna do great. I think it's just a matter of taking it one week at a time. That's why it's nice to have a co-leader that you work well with, someone that you can glean from. And that's what's so great about in the early days having supervision. So you can have people that like, okay, I'm really nervous about this. What do I need to do? Or I think I really failed here. Walk me through this. That's what supervision's for. It's to help you, to guide you, to make you feel more confident in your ability to do things. So hopefully you guys are going to have that kind of supervision at whatever sites you end up being at. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys again. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, you can get a hold of me by my email or my phone. Have a great week. We're almost done.